Weekdays noon to 3 on Tampa Bay Sports Radio. 620 WDAE and 95.3 FM.
Who's banged up? Who's in the training room? It's time for the Dr. Locke Sports Injury Report. In pain? Why operate when you can rejuvenate? DrLocks.com.
And we welcome in right now the good Dr. Dennis Locke. Good morning, Doc. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing great. Thanks for joining us. Good to talk to you. We haven't talked to you for a few weeks here. Hey, I want to start off with the big story in the NFL, Doctor, and that's Geno Smith, broken jaw. When I first heard about this, I know we haven't seen all the x-rays and everything and find out exactly where it was broken and all that. 10 weeks seemed like an awful long time to possibly be out with a broken jaw. Is that kind of normal? Maybe take us through what goes into the rehabilitation of a broken jaw.
Well, it's not so much rehabilitation. It's just the surgical process of stabilizing it and then getting new bone or callus to form over the fracture. It's just a sensitive area. There's a lot of stress that, if you get tackled, if somebody grabs your helmet. This was just a much more delicate instance, and he got sucker punched, which just doesn't really happen that much to your quarterback in the NFL. I mean, if you're in boxing, that it's a more common occurrence. I think Ali Norton was a big example, but
right.
It's kind of hard to keep getting hit when you have a broken jaw. So for a football player, it's very devastating.
And he'll need some time to I would imagine he's going to lose some weight, right, if he's limited dietarily-wise, right?
Oh, I think that's going to happen,
Yeah. Hey, Doc, the Steelers' place kicker, Shawn Suisham, injured his ACL. Now, from what I understand, he did this tackling a player on a kickoff, and it's his left ACL. That would seem to be, I believe, his plant leg. A similar injury to Connor Barth a few years ago. So is that better or worse that it occurred on the leg that he plants before he kicks, or his kicking leg?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think that perhaps it's going to be equally as important. A kicker isn't as high risk as the receivers or the running backs of what they have to do, the cutting and planting. But
right.
I think that the key is it happened when he was on the kickoff return. He was tackling somebody, and that's when you're really going to put at greatest risk of having an injury. The question, I guess, is is he going to come back 100%?
Right.
The majority of them now come back from ACLs. In the past, it was so difficult. About 90% come back, but there's a good third of them that never get 100% of their performance back.
Wow.
So, he could lose something on his distance. It just depends on how he does. They're getting much better at rehabbing. They're using regenerative medicine, platelet plasma, and stem cells to put into the operative field to help expedite recovery.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we've seen some of these remarkable returns, like Adrian Peterson and some of these, and RG third. They're getting the best of the best now, so they're getting back on the field faster. But there's still an ACL is just such a traumatic injury to the knee that other things happen, and so it's not uncommon that you never get back to your full level.
We're talking with Dr. Dennis Locke, our weekly injury report, and Doctor, we'll wrap it up with Akeem Spence of the Tampa Bay Bucs. He said he was lifting weights and he felt something in his back slip. And we've heard people say this before, but for those who've never had a back injury, that sort of thing, when they say something in my back slipped, what exactly is going on with that?
Well, typically, and I think what he described is there was something pinching on his nerves, and
right.
that they had to have it removed. That's classically a disc.
Mm-hmm.
The disc can protrude or herniate, and then if it sits near the nerve root or the spinal cord, and he had leg pain. So if you have radicular or leg pain, that's nerve root impingement, and that generally has to be surgically removed to get the disc away. The problem with that is that the disc is not completely removed, so it can re-herniate. and it sounds like he had a microdiscectomy. I don't know if he was squatting. He's a very big boy, and so I'm sure he was lifting a ton of weight. So, there is the reherniation rate, and discs tend to recur over time. It's not an isolated thing. Once you have a bad back, it's generally problematic sometime down the road. So it'll be interesting to see if he recovers quickly, if it was a microdiscectomy technique, and if he ever has a problem with this down the road.
Here's Dr. Dennis Locks. It's our weekly injury report. Thanks so much, Doc. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Doc.
Bye.
It's good stuff right there. The injury report brought to you by Dr. Locks' Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Want more info? Visit drlocks.com. In pain, why operate when you can rejuvenate? drlocks.com.